Autonomy is one of those words we use often, especially in organizations. We say we want more of it. We associate it with trust, empowerment, and growth. And yet, when autonomy shows up without the right conditions, it can feel unsettling rather than freeing. In this video, I want to explore why that tension exists, and why it's not a failure of autonomy but a misunderstanding of it. What looks like a contradiction is actually a design challenge, one that sits at the heart of how people do meaningful work together. This is the autonomy paradox. We often talk about autonomy as if it's an unquestioned good. More freedom is supposed to mean more motivation, more creativity, and more satisfaction. And on the surface, that makes sense. Freedom feels like progress. But in practice, autonomy creates tension. The same freedom that fuels innovation can also generate anxiety. The same independence we ask for can quickly become overwhelming. That tension isn't a contradiction, it's what I call the autonomy paradox. True autonomy doesn't mean doing whatever we want. It means having meaningful choice inside real boundaries. None of us operate in isolation. Every decision we make lives inside systems, our bodies, our relationships, our culture, time, and consequence. Autonomy is never absolute. It's something that has to be balanced, designed, and adjusted over time. That's why in organizations, giving people more autonomy sometimes produces confusion instead of engagement. When constraints are unclear, people don't feel free, they feel exposed. When boundaries are thoughtfully designed, freedom becomes workable. The shift leaders have to make is subtle but critical. It's not about removing control, it's about improving the quality of constraints. Because autonomy isn't about more freedom, it's about better freedom. To understand the autonomy paradox, we need to look at the two forces that live inside every person. One part of us seeks safety through certainty. It values predictability, stability, and belonging. It wants the world to make sense and to feel secure while acting within it. At the same time, another part of us seeks growth through uncertainty. It looks for challenge, novelty, and opportunity. It grows through learning, exploration, and change. These two motives never disappear, and they never fully agree. They pull against each other constantly. Autonomy exists right at that point of tension. When certainty dominates, we slide into compliance, safe but stagnant. When uncertainty dominates, we drift into disorientation, free but lost. Most of us recognize this in our own experience. Too much structure can feel controlling or diminishing. Too little structure can feel anxious and unsupported. The sweet spot lives in between, where we can stretch our thinking and test our skills while still trusting that the ground beneath us is solid. Teams and organizations perform best when leaders understand this tension and design for it intentionally. They create environments that protect psychological safety while encouraging intelligent risk-taking. That balance is what allows learning, trust, and performance to sustain over time. Because autonomy can't be absolute, the real work becomes designing freedom within a frame. The frame provides orientation. It clarifies purpose, roles, decision rights, and guardrails. Inside that frame, people can act with discretion, creativity, and responsibility. A well-designed frame is what makes flow possible. Flow emerges when goals are clear, feedback is timely, and the challenge slightly exceeds current ability. It's the experience of deep engagement, focused, energized, and capable. But flow is fragile. When pressure rises without clarity, people move into fight or flight. When certainty becomes excessive, meaning fades and engagement drops. Autonomy collapses in both directions. Leaders shape the frame through three levers. Structure defines ownership and interfaces. Who decides what and when escalation is required? Culture shapes how mistakes are treated, whether learning is safe or punished. And capability determines whether people can reliably navigate the level of complexity being asked of them without burning out. Freedom within a frame is not control disguised as empowerment. It's a design principle for human performance. When done well, it gives people enough autonomy to grow, enough structure to stay safe, and enough feedback to improve continuously. The autonomy paradox doesn't have a final solution. It has to be managed, not solved. Environments that consistently produce flow tend to do three things well. First, they strengthen the frame before expanding freedom. People need clarity about purpose, expectations, and decision rights before autonomy can actually work. Second, they expand discretion gradually, in proportion to judgment and readiness. Autonomy is developmental. It grows as people demonstrate the ability to handle greater complexity responsibly. Third, they use flow as the signal. When focus is steady, learning is visible, and energy feels calm but purposeful. Autonomy and structure are in balance. When anxiety, confusion, or disengagement rise, it's usually a sign that the frame needs repair. This is how autonomy becomes relational rather than rhetorical. It stops being something that's granted from above and becomes something that's built together through clarity, trust, and accountability. Maybe autonomy isn't about getting more freedom at all. Maybe it's about using the freedom we already have with intention, inside frames that keep us safe enough to grow. True autonomy lives in that tension, where we feel supported and stretched at the same time. That's not a compromise. That's the design of meaningful work.